Hi everyone and welcome to another video from Hostile Territory. Should you quit your job? Should you quit your toxic workplace or should you wait until you get fired? This is a big dilemma among many people, not only that work in toxic workplaces, but they also work in normal workplaces. And this is a dilemma that is not to be taken lightly. Now, in my previous video, I talk about this in detail and I give you some advice from my personal experience that will hopefully help you in making that decision. What you should consider, what you should think about, and so on. This video is sort of a second part of that video since it was pretty lengthy. I decided to make a separate video where I tell you the actual story, what happened to me in the workplace, and hopefully you'll get some additional useful information that may help you. So stay tuned. Hostile territory. Now, dear viewers, the whole story starts in my previous company, in my previous toxic workplace. If you watched my testimonial video, it's a bit lengthy, but nevertheless, I recommend to watch it if you have the time. It will give you a good idea where my sad credentials for making this channel come from and what I had to endure for 12 long years. If you watch that video, you'll see that the main problem I had was with my coworkers, that they treated me badly. In my opinion, and this is a heavy word, they sort of conspired against me to get me out of the company once I did all the hard work. And all in all, it was a bad place to be. I concluded as early as 2015, 2016, that, I should get out of there. So I was 4 years into that job. I saw what they were going to do. And of course, the logical thing to do was to get out of there, okay? Despite the fact that I invested lots of time, time away from my family, my own time, invested a lot of work and everything else, I saw what was going to happen. From that point onwards, I desperately tried to find another job. Now, I also mentioned this in previous videos, and this is a good topic for another video. I live in a small European town, and when you live in a town like that, and you don't have connections and you don't know certain people and so on, it's very hard to find any kind of decent job, okay? You can find low-paid, crummy jobs that will break your back eventually, and you may not even get paid at the end of the day, so there's not a good option in sight. I also tried searching for another job in the vicinity, and I'm telling you all this because it's important for the later parts of the story. I searched in the vicinity, in other towns, it was more or less the same thing. All in all, there wasn't any solution. Then I tried to go abroad. I asked my relatives, they couldn't find a way to help me. I applied for lots of jobs abroad. I didn't get any kind of interview or something like that. All in all, the point is there was no option B. And I had a family, I had obligations, and I needed the money. Besides that, I noticed that somewhere from 2020, let's say 2020, my health started deteriorating. And I started to have more and more health problems, Before that, my health was bulletproof. I didn't have almost any problems. Every year, our company paid us generously, I must say, a complete health check, and every time I passed with flying colors, But from 2019 onwards, and I guess this is from fatigue, this is from just being in that kind of atmosphere and with those kinds of people, we moved to another office that didn't have a good ventilation. We didn't have any sunlight. My colleagues had the bright idea to one day to work, one day to be free, so I worked for 16, 17 hours in a place that had no air, that had no sunlight. I worked like a maniac. There was lots of work to be done. And I guess all of that took its toll over time. So you'll agree, it's a pretty tough place to be in. I trust that many people have been in worse places, but for me at that time, it was it was a very, very hard decision to make. If I do something for myself and save my health and my well-being, my family is going to be left without money, without health insurance, without lots of things, and with little kids and with a wife that's not working. That's simply not an option. It was sort of, and this may sound dramatic, but I saw it this way: either you'll be healthy but hungry, or you'll have food on the table but you'll be sick. That was sort of the dilemma. After 2020, my health started getting worse. The relations at work started getting worse. The boss and his mistress had a full-blown love affair. And this was a major factor that affected the whole work inside of the branch office. They acted like the branch office was theirs. They treated everyone inside the branch office as their workers, and all in all, they started acting like some sort of lords of the branch office, you know. And the head office, for some reason, did not sanction this to this day. I don't know why. And all in all, it was becoming very hard to work there. By 2023, I saw it was game over. There was nothing more that I could do there. And what I saw on top of that was that my coworkers were really now getting into the final phase of pushing me out, you know. They were becoming not only, they were not only talking, they were becoming aggressive, not physically but verbally. They didn't have any more barriers in telling anything. Besides that, I was in and out of the hospital almost every month, I must say, and it was all a very bad situation. And because of that, I decided to quit. After that, I definitely started making my exit strategy. I must be clear on this part that from 2015, I had this exit strategy in my head, as I mentioned, but you know, this was actually the first time I put pen to paper and put concrete steps, what I'm gonna do to get out of there as properly as possible, if you know what I mean. I also talked with my wife, and you know, we came to the conclusion that I should get out of there as soon as possible because of the health issues, you know, and if I stayed there for any longer period of time, that I was in danger of getting who knows what. Again, I must be honest with you, we made, during all those previous years, we made some safety measures just in case this happens. I could have get laid off suddenly, you know, it happens to lots of people. So we made a couple of safety measures. So when this happens, we don't land on our butts, but rather have some sort of safety net. And on this part, I must say, always have a plan B in life, whatever you do. Even from the simplest things, have a plan B, it is very useful. Now, the main dilemma was to quit or to get fired. One of the main decision makers was that if you get fired, you will get government aid and money for the next 7 months. If you resign and if you leave the company on your own initiative, there was no government aid. And besides that, besides the government aid, you would get also health insurance, which was very important, not only for me and my sickness, but also for my wife and kids. That was one big thing to think about when quitting or getting fired. Another factor was that I seriously think that I was gonna get laid off anyway. It was a matter of months. My loose estimate was 6 months, a year maximum. And then the company will let me go for two main reasons. One was that my coworkers, and it was obvious, constructed the whole stage for this to happen, you know, and it was just a matter of time before they pushed me out and replaced me with someone else. And the second reason was that I was almost always on sick leave, you know, and what company likes a sick person? There are companies who tolerate this, but most companies just want to get rid of sick people as soon as possible. I'm sorry to say this, it's a bit harsh, but I see it as a fact. And when I put two and two together, you know, it was sort of a funnel that led me to the conclusion that I should quit despite losing the government benefit. Losing the government aid was a trade-off for the benefits I would get here, mainly my health and avoiding trouble with the coworkers and the company. Besides this, somewhere in early 2024, I get an offer to work at another company in the same line of work. And I managed to make a deal with them, you know, that I would work my time off in the company, start working with them. It all seemed good. That ended in a disaster, by the way, but it all seemed good. And this was one more thing that pushed me towards quitting and not getting fired. Time went, months passed, and in September 2024, I announced that I was going to leave the company. What can I say? After years of some serious work, serious sacrifice, I was gone in a moment's notice, you know. Nobody even asked, why does a worker with 12 years of serious experience and with all of that background is leaving suddenly? Nobody asked, not one question, not the HR department, not my head manager, not the other head manager, no one. And that also gave me the impression that I made the right decision, you know, and that there was something brewing in the distance and that I was going to get fired anyway. So dear viewers, now I'm going to really conclude this video. I'm sorry for taking too much of your time, but I just wanted through this story to bring two things to life. The first thing is the whole atmosphere you may find yourself in. Like I was when making this kind of decision, there are all kinds of pressures. Lots of things will be surrounding you when making this decision. There will be a lot of opinions, a lot of advice that may be good or bad. All in all, it's easy to get a distorted picture of what you're supposed to do in making this kind of decision. Another thing is that, and I cannot emphasize this enough, this is something that I said in my previous video, and I will repeat it again. There is one key solution to this dilemma, and that is to make the decision exclusively through benefits. What are your benefits from it? And I'm not talking about superficial benefits, but real benefits, okay? Is there money in it for you? Is there a possibility of another job for you? Concrete, real benefits for you. If you make this kind of decision based on emotions, based on hatred, based on some sort of vendetta to your company, or lots of other things that people commonly base their decisions on, I can guarantee you're going to make a mistake, a bigger or smaller mistake, but you're going to make one. But if you base it on benefits, if you keep your head cool and you think everything through, you're going to make the right decision. And trust me on this one. Always have a clear picture of your present situation. If you have to write down the pros and cons of each decision, get the benefits out of that, sort of make an elimination process. If you have to, see what are the main benefits for you in option for quitting, an option for getting fired, and act according to that. It's sort of a mechanical principle, but you'll have to trust me on this one. It is the option to get the best solution for yourself. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. I hope this video helps. Please like and subscribe. It's a huge help for the channel and what we're doing here. Again, I hope this video will help you if you work in a toxic and hostile workplace. It is a tough place to be, a specific place, and you have to be very careful, very aware, and very tough to survive it all and to get out of it intact. It is hard, but it can be done. Also, I recommend watching our other videos if you have the time. I think you can find some other advice regarding lots of aspects of working in a toxic and hostile workplace, and there are lots of complicated and, I must say, dangerous aspects of it all. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.